Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it is Tuesday. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this Morning, the 12th of March 2024. My name is Olive Monica Najuma and I'm with Chirabo, Robert Nyonyintono, Jerome Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Akandinda. Now we are here to do what we do best, take you through this day by inspiring you, giving you news highlights and of course topical discussions. Good morning, Chirabo.
A lovely morning to you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I need to see more class. Okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Well, that is good. I hope our viewers are also fine. And the entire team song, I don't bother. Everything is always good for him. Chantal, I'm here to discover, but I just hope that you are fine and you're in that mood because we have so much for you. Later on, a very hot discussion that is relocation of Luzira prison. You can't afford to miss that. But more is coming your way, let's say.
Well, that and more is coming your way. Good morning, Jerome Paul Sonko, and is it a good week so far?
Yes, it's a good week. Today, by the way, is the International Day for the Working Moms.
Oh.
So all the working moms out there, today is the day for you to be celebrated.
Okay.
If you're a working mom, not the stay at home, but I want to believe 80% of the
Okay,
moms
Sonko,
today are
I'm going to
all
stop you
working
right
moms.
there because you might be a stay-at-home mom but running an online business or something. So you're still a working mom.
It depends. It really depends. But on such a day, normally, the celebrations rotate around women who are away from home, who are working in office, or who are working in small businesses, but away from home. So entirely, just like maybe Oliver's mentioned, even those who are at home but having a business, we are celebrating you. So again, it's more like we are celebrating the entire kind of, should I say, mothership? Oh, we are celebrating mothers entirely. But good morning to our dear viewer, and good morning, Chantal.
Oh, wow. Chantal, what are you doing to Sonko? Good morning.
I'm
What
reiterating
exactly are
his
you
word.
doing?
Mothership.
I'm reiterating his word, mothership.
English is not his best friend this morning, but we shall
This
overcome.
morning.
Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning. Oh, you look lovely this morning.
Thank you. You look lovely too.
Thank you. Good morning, Avia. Thank you for joining us. Sonko gave me a shock.
No, it just crossed my mind, and I was like, maybe mothership would sound good.
Mothership.
But anyways, we are celebrating
We've
mothers.
pardoned you. We've
Working
pardoned you.
So are you a mothership, Chantal, or you are?
I'm looking to joining that ship, the mothership. Probably that sounds better.
Maybe
But
Sonko, he's still, he has discovered that maybe one time he paid money he shouldn't have been paying. Many people yesterday were reacting when Enanga came out, that is the police spokesperson, and said you're not supposed to pay for CCTV footage in case of a crime. Many were like, but we've been paying for this for a long time. It's free of charge. You shouldn't be charged
The
even a
retrieval
penny.
of CCTV
Yes, to retrieve that footage for you, either in a traffic accident or in any crime, because these CCTV cameras are all over, installed by government, manned by Uganda police, and you're supposed to get that free of charge.
Facilitated by
So I think
taxpayers'
Sonko is
money.
still wondering, and as he was thinking about that, he ended up in ship.
Oh, well, anyway, whatever it is, Sonko, if it is a ship that has mothers that are working, we are celebrating them
That ship.
today. And of course, we welcome you to Good Morning Uganda. Now, right about this minute, we delve into our local news, starting with Mr. Chirabo Robert.
Well, and we'll begin with a number of people who are ready to replace the seat that was occupied by the late Cecilia Ogwal, Dokoro Woman Member of Parliament, where 6 in number were nominated. Now it was a busy day in Dokoro District as candidates to replace the former Women Member of Parliament, Cecilia Ogwal, got nominated. NRM's candidate, Janet Odong Elu, was the first to be nominated at 10 a.m. and the candidate said she was ready to face the race to represent Dokoro Woman MP. The NRM candidate was escorted by the Director Mobilization, Rosemary Seninde, who pledged support for her party. The second candidate to be nominated was an independent, Akul, and was also followed by an independent, and then later came Esther Obot, who came at about 2 p.m. after some supporters had no national identity cards. The third candidate to be nominated was the FDC candidate and daughter to the late Cecilia Ogwal, who said she was ready to continue with the mom's legacy. The FDC candidate was nominated in the presence of the party President Patrick Amoria Oboy, who urged his supporters to counter any other candidate and have victory for the party.
Now moving on, the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force, JAT, in coordination with the Territorial Police in Wuyende District, have apprehended Ndalike Hassan, a UPDF deserter, for aiding ADF rebel activities within the region. Ndalike Hassan is suspected to have been mobilizing and recruiting youngsters into ADF camps and sneaking them into Congo. The Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force, together with the Territorial Police in Wuyende, arrested Ndalike Hassan, the UPDF deserter, upon suspicion for recruiting and trafficking young children into ADF camps in Congo for the past 8 years. In an enhanced operation against terror activities, security in Serere and Kampala Metropolitan arrested 3 suspects over possession of UPDF stores. These are accused of using these attires to commit crimes, especially on major highways. In Kabong District, joint security agencies have embarked on investigating the circumstances under which National Unity Platform mobilizer Lochoto Ambrose was shot dead. This was during an operation against Karamojong armed warriors. Meanwhile, upon receiving complaints from the public over extortion of money to access CCTV footage, police management has issued guidelines and circumstances under which a person can access this footage. Some police officers have put a price for someone to access CCTV footage during investigations. This has deprived victims of justice due to limited substantial evidence.
And moving on, the Director of Communications and Public Affairs at Parliament, Chris Obore, has hit at the opposition wing over allegations of corruption. Obore says Parliament cannot respond to hearsay. Meanwhile, the leader of opposition in Parliament, Joe Senyonyi, wants the Speaker of Parliament to respond to what they call the results of the ongoing social media exhibition which faults Parliament on corruption. According to Senyonyi, there is illicit money being spent by Parliament without formal roots, including allegations that some members of Parliament last week received 100 million each. The leader of opposition, Senyonyi, also questions why he has never been involved in the sitting of the Parliamentary Commission. However, Obore said the Commission sits quarterly and has since August last year never held its sittings.
Now, in other news, the General Secretary of Uganda Joint Christian Council, Father Mbonabinji Constantine, has challenged the young generation to take lead in restoring the environment and avert the effects of climate change. He was sorry for the old generation, which has no time left to revert effects of climate change. Workers for Environment have crossed Katonga Bridge. Kayabwe leaders led by Bishop Mbonabinji Constantine, the General Secretary, Uganda Joint Christian Council, Town Council, welcomed the team. Several speakers lauded members of Workers Association of Uganda and the Ministry of Water and Environment for creating awareness on climate change. Later, the Mayor, Kayabwe Town Council, Z, flagged off the workers to the journey of the remaining 518 kilometers. Well, that does it for the local news. Now we delve into international news with Chantal.
Now, the former president of the U.S., Donald Trump, has criticized a congressional bill to force TikTok TikTok parent company to sell the app or see it banned in the US. Mr. Trump, who attempted to ban TikTok in 2020 while in the White House, said the proposal would give unfair advantages to Facebook owner Meta. Lawmakers are debating a measure that would force TikTok parent company ByteDance to sell it by 30th September. President Joe Biden has said he will sign the bill if it passes. Without TikTok, you can make Facebook bigger, and I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people, Mr. Trump told news agencies yesterday. Asked about the app's security, the Republican presidential candidate said there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad with the social media platform. There are a lot of people on TikTok that love it. There are a lot of young kids on TikTok who will go crazy without it, Mr. Trump added. The U.S. intelligence community has warned that the Chinese government is using TikTok in attempts to sow doubt about U.S. leadership and undermine democracy. Moving on, the World Health Organization chief says an aid mission managed to reach Al-Shifa Hospital in North Gaza, bringing food and medical supplies, as the health ministry says 2,000 medical workers in the north face famine. The U.S. says Israel has not yet presented a plan to protect civilians in its planned invasion of Rafah as Israel's self-imposed Ramadan deadline for invasion passes. Israel has carried out strikes in the vicinity of Lebanon's Baalbek, nearly 100 kilometers from the Lebanon-Israel border. Israel imposes restrictions on West Bank worshippers entering Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem as 35,000 gather for prayers on the first day of Ramadan. At least 31,045 Palestinians have been killed and 72,654 injured in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7th. Now, coming back to Africa, there has been criticism in Nigeria over a decision to rename an airport after President Bola Tinubu. The government in the state of Niger said Mina International Airport had been renamed in recognition of the president's contribution towards developing the region. But some Nigerians have described it as a vanity project. President Tinubu is in Mina to inaugurate the remodeled airport, which was formerly known as Abubakar Imam International Airport, after a Nigerian writer and journalist who pioneered the region's first Hausa language newspaper. Last year, the aviation authorities announced plans to rename 15 airports after prominent Nigerians, including former presidents. And lastly, speaking matters climate, Europe urgently needs stronger measures to respond to climate change risks, a new report has warned. The 32-page assessment published on Monday by the European Environment Agency asserted that the bloc is not prepared to respond to the increasingly severe risks that climate change poses. The policy advisor's first-ever report on the threat faced by the world's fastest warming continent warns of catastrophic consequences. Hundreds of thousands of people would die from heat waves, and economic losses from coastal floods alone could exceed €1 trillion per year, the report reads. Urgent policies targeting healthcare systems, farming, and critical infrastructure are needed. It continued, noting that extreme heat and drought events, once rare, are becoming more common. If decisive action is taken now, most climate risks identified in the report could reach critical catastrophic levels by the end of the century, the analysis said, urging that the European Union to inaugurate climate risks into budgets, urging the European Union to integrate climate risk into budgets and policies across sectors. That is it for climate news and what is happening across different parts of the world.
Thank you, Chantal. Now we look into the press this morning with Joram Paul Sonko.
And the New Vision is highlighting 7,700 are to be deleted from government payroll, according to the first report on the top stories that we have for you this morning. As Ndiga clan head murder, 5 suspects charged. Victoria of some of the suspects at the front page of the New Vision. The suspects appeared before court. Then also Vision journalist battles rare condition for 12 years. Read about it. Now 2026 elections NRM register update starts tomorrow. How about that? An interesting report ahead of the 2026 polls. Then Dokolo by-election nominations kick off. Read about the same with today's New Vision. Now in her vision, how Nantume helps couples enjoy marriage. Read about Nantume, especially for couples having issues in their marriage. Now also looking to the at the Daily Monitor, Chigundu, day we defied Anthony Geno and nominated Besigye. According to Chigundu, the former Electoral Commission chairperson is narrating some of the incidents that happened during his 14-year tenure at the Electoral Commission. Then also hunt for justice, suspects charged with murder of Ndiga clan head, Victoria of those that appeared before court yesterday. Then in Rainbow, Chintu is passionate about emceeing. Also, in the other news, opposition members of parliament demand Among to recall House over graft. As in the national news, government to build valley tank for Arua residents as hunger pushes Oyam children out of school. Also, Equity Bank investigates multi-billion loan fraud. That is with the Daily Monitor. Now we cross the borders to Kenya with the Daily Nation. The Daily Nation is highlighting a nightmare. A directive to zero-rate motorcycles saw a sales spike and the issuing chaos. Licensed to kill. Read about the impunity created by border riders in Kenya. Then also Haiti police deployment still on, insists Kindiki, as Ngungi wa Thiong'o's tribute to Henry Chakava, my friend, student and savior. Read about it. Then employment, Kenya Revenue Authority warns employers denying disabled staff 36,700 tax relief. Also, Kenya named new president of Open Society Foundations in the news regarding new appointments. Now, also Ramadan Kareem, more of the messages coming in, wishing the Muslim community better during this festive season. Now, also in the Healthy Nation, you can read about how love is blind. That is with the Daily Nation. Now, also, we now turn our focus to the Citizen newspaper from Tanzania. Priority areas as budget set to jump by 5 trillion Tanzanian shillings. Then where you should invest that borrowed cash. This is information going to the investors. Then lastly, the Rising Woman series, Waiga Sembe is a symbol of resilience and determination. So that is what you can find in the press this morning.
Well, thank you so much, Jerome Paul. Now, if you want details regarding any of those stories, all you have to do is walk to the nearby supermarket or stall and buy a paper for yourself so that you dig deeper into the issues that have been highlighted. For now, we are going to take a short break and we'll leave you with Eddie Kenzo Bichuka.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it is Tuesday. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, the 12th of March 2024. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I'm with Chirabo, Robert Nyonyintono, Jerome Paul Sonko, and Chantal Olive Akandinda. Now, we are here to do what we do best, take you through this day by inspiring you, giving you news highlights, and of course, topical discussions. Good morning, Chirabo.
A lovely morning to you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I need to see more of that. Okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Well, that is good. I hope our viewers are also fine. And the entire team song, I don't bother. Everything is always good for him. Chantal, I'm here to discover. But I just hope that you are fine and you're in that mood because we have so much for you later on a very hot discussion that is relocation of Luzira prison. You can't afford to miss that. But that and more is coming your way, let's say.
Well, that and more is coming your way. Good morning, Jerome Paul Sonko, and is it a good week so far?
Yes, it's a good week. Today, by the way, is the International Day for the Working Moms.
Oh.
So all the working moms out there, today is the day for you to be celebrated.
Okay.
If you're a working mom, not they stay at home, but I want to believe 80% of the
Okay,
moms
Sonko,
today
I'm
are
going to stop you
working
right
moms.
there, because you might be a stay-at-home mom but running an online business or something. So you're still a working mom.
It depends. It really depends. But on such a day, normally, the celebrations rotate around women who are away from home, who are working in office, or who are working in small businesses, but away from home. So entirely, just like maybe Oliver's mentioned, even those who are at home but having a business, we are celebrating you. So again, it's more like we are celebrating the entire kind of, what should I say, mothership? Oh, we are celebrating mothers entirely. But good morning to our dear viewer, and good morning.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Well, it is a Tuesday, 12th March 2024. Time check is 7:07. Welcome to the hour of our news wheel. Now today we still speak matters women, but we are speaking matters of health, especially for expecting mothers and HIV/AIDS. Now, new reports indicate that expectant mothers in Namutumba district in eastern Uganda are reportedly shunning antenatal visits and delivering from government health centers because they fear that their HIV status will be revealed to their spouses. Now, for someone wondering why are expectant mothers being tested for HIV/AIDS, well, it turns out, according to the World Health Organization, that women in Uganda are disproportionately affected by HIV, and out of the 1.4 million people that are living with HIV/AIDS, 860,000 are women and 80,000 are children. And as part of the drive to reduce the number of babies born with HIV, Uganda has a robust prevention of mother-to-child transmission program, and this involves testing pregnant mothers, especially in their first trimester. Now, a mother is expected to have about 8 antenatal visits when she's pregnant over the 9 months of pregnancy, and when they check and note that she's HIV positive in the first trimester, that is the first 3 months of her pregnancy, then it enables health workers to give them the necessary attention and medical care, and also to prevent mother-to-child transmission at birth. This is the rationale for checking pregnant mothers. But now, concerning reports are indicating that mothers are now avoiding going to health centers. They are hiding behind the excuses that health centers are expensive. yet traditional birth attendants are charging them between 7,000 to 10,000 shillings. But we know that in most health centers, actually, giving birth is very cheap, and if there has to be a cost, in most cases, it is really minimal. But the advantage is that the mother is now being handled by a professional. So what is causing this growing trend of mothers, especially in rural areas, favoring traditional birth attendants vis-a-vis trained professionals like midwives and doctors or health facilities? Well, my name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am with Jerome Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Akandinda to get through this. Now, Chantal, good morning once again.
Good morning, Olive. How are you today?
I am good. Now, these are rather concerning reports coming in from Namutumba district. And of course, we know that, there has been much awareness about HIV/AIDS infection. And as we speak, 5.8, the prevalence rate in Uganda is standing at 5.8%. And of these, 7.2% are women compared to men that are around 4.4%. So it shows that women, we are not doing well when it comes to HIV/AIDS prevalence. So for mothers to be shunning health facilities because they fear their status to be revealed to their partners, do you think we are lacking in the area of maybe more awareness and, of course, informing and teaching them that you can actually have a health baby and you can even live a health life as an HIV-positive mother?
Well, it goes back down to how society has really made this look like. However, you're also looking at an area, for example, the report is from Namutumba. So you're looking at an area like Namutumba and you're thinking to yourself, how much access do they have to information that should enable them to make certain decisions? Because if for over the years, we've seen the prevalence of mother-to-child transmission also go down. And that is in the 2000s, we were at around 20%. And as of now, this was as of around 2022, we're looking at about 2.8%. And that is a very good stride from 20%, a very, very good stride over the years. But do these mothers know the implications of the decision they are making? Probably not. And it also goes back down to the society, what they have witnessed. If they have witnessed someone being stigmatized, then definitely that is going to make them shun these visits and these health facilities. Because if for example, I go to a health center and I see how this person is being treated, or even just my neighbor, how they're being treated after them disclosing something like that, the next person is going to fear. So it goes back down to how much information do they have on the implications of the decision they have made not to go for these visits because they're fearing that they will be exposed. But also that also leads us to the fact that deep down in those places, they must be doing things they are not supposed to be doing. Because if you're not going to get your health, if you're not going for antenatal and you're not getting checked because you fear that you might be positive and your spouse might find out, that means you've been messing around in the background. Yeah, and that also paints a picture on the kinds of marriages and families that are in there. That means they either know and they've kept it for a long time. There is something fishy that is with some of those people in there.
So do you think that probably it's a case of infidelity and faithfulness, and this is why they're now choosing or opting to hide their statuses from their spouses?
They usually say, some women usually say, that it's the men that bring the disease to them. But we've seen over the years lately that women go messing around. Infidelity has become very common for both men and women. Back then, women would fear, if you talked about infidelity, it had something to do with what kind of woman does that. But lately it seems to be a norm, it seems to be okay, and people have let it be. So that means there has to be a trickle of some infidelity, and that's what makes some of these women uncomfortable with going for these tests and their husbands knowing their status at the moment.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, it's also important to note that, like Chantal said, we have been able to reduce the mother-to-child transmission by 77% from 20,000 cases in 2010 to 5,900 cases in 2022. Those are the children that are born, or that actually not born, because with HIV, children contract HIV/AIDS at birth. They do not contract it from within the uterus.
No,
it is usually
it's at birth.
That's why it is very important for a mother to be tested so that the health workers know what they are dealing with. But you see, when mothers now favor traditional birth attendants, certain things are lost. According to medics, they're saying that some who now decide to go to health centers, you find that they are doing antenatal care in their last trimester or even the last month of their pregnancy. And this normally means there is lack of preparation. There is a lot that has been missed. Even like, for instance, there is this should I call it an infection? You know, hydrocephalus,
yes,
that leads to children having bulging heads. This can actually be avoided if the mother goes to a health center early and they start taking their folic acid from the first trimester. But if you go late, then the folic acid you're going to take may do little or nothing at all for you. Now, coming to you, Jerome Paul, what do you think the government can do to improve accessibility to HIV testing for pregnant women?
Well, I think government has been doing enough when it comes to setting up these facilities. I want to believe the worry is the lack of awareness of how and why is it important.
If government has done enough, then why do we have lack of awareness?
No, I'm saying they've done enough with the facilities, putting in place these facilities, because when you go to these health centers, you realize most of these testing kits are there. And case in point here in Namutumba, you realize most of these expectant mothers know that if I go to the hospital during antenatal checkups, they will check me. So that means they are aware that the facilities are in place or the equipment is in place. Well, now the awareness, the lack of awareness is one that is actually, becoming a challenge to the government. Because if these particular mothers are aware that going to, let's say, traditional birth attendants in this day and age today may put your life at risk. I'm not ruling out the fact that we have people who have actually gone to them and have successfully given birth. But then with the kind of generation that we are in today, with the different changes in life, you get to realize that it is always better to adapt to what is happening. Now, this is where government is failing at. But again, if you're to look at the issue at hand today, is when you look at the fact that if you go to a hospital or a health facility as an expectant mother, because according to the report coming in, is that an expectant mother is supposed to go for antenatal visits close to 8 times.
Yes.
I don't know if that is the right number.
That is the right number.
8 times before they give birth.
Yes.
So
especially in the first 2 trimesters.
Exactly. So when you look at that, most of these mothers are not aware. Oh, I don't know if it's actually a deliberate move to shun, but most of them, because they only go there once or a week to giving birth, you do realize that government needs to put this information out there. Now, again, when you also look at the other side of it, where government should also come in, is bringing these men into the conversations of, visiting hospitals with their wives. Because at times, the reason as to why we have such reports of, women trying to make their men, buy the idea of them giving birth using traditional birth attendants, because they are, according to the allegations coming in from here, from this same report, you do realize that most of the women sugarcoat their husbands to buying the idea of using the TBA or the traditional birth attendants, because they don't want to go to the hospitals in order to receive results, or for their husbands to receive results that they are HIV positive. But then, as government is also pushing for men getting into, these spaces of supporting their wives, or especially the expectant mothers, we also need to put an end to the stigma. This has been one of the biggest things that has actually created room for people hiding away from, from their status and everything.
And
So,
speaking of stigma, sorry to interject. Speaking of stigma, what role does the community have in ending the stigma? Because it starts with us.
As you've said, it starts with us. We need to first of all recognize the people who are having or are carrying the virus as part of us. Just like any other sort of sickness where you still, try to feel pity but also be supportive in one way or the other. Because we've seen all, the preaching that is going on or going around, that having HIV is not the end of the world. So that means everyone who is having it, and even today we have a generation with it, and they're living free, and and they are on their medicine. So this is something that we need to have as a community, that if we notice that someone has, we should not segregate. Because the reason as why many people hide after getting it is because they know community is going to segregate them or discriminate them in a way, and they also know they're going to become the new talk in town, that the other person got HIV or got AIDS, especially if you got it through infidelity. So you do realize most of these women actually end up running away from these tests because they are afraid of what will be the outcome. Either the husband might leave, or the husband would question where the person got it from.
And actually, it may not necessarily be infidelity, but women are more prone. When you look at the numbers, we have higher numbers, higher prevalence rates among women than men. Like I said earlier, the prevalence rate among women is 7.2% compared to men at 4.2%, and over 860,000 women living with HIV/AIDS. Yet now compare that to the overall 1.4 million people in Uganda that are living with HIV/AIDS. But the reason why women are more prone to HIV infection, one man can actually infect different women, and the reason is because women are biologically vulnerable to infection than men because of the greater mucus area exposed to HIV during penile penetration. And according to reports, women under 17 years of age are at an even greater risk because they have an underdeveloped cervix and low vaginal mucus production. So that also explains why in Uganda today, majority of the new HIV infections are among young women between the ages of 15 and 19. So we still have a long way to go.
Yes, we do. And Monica, also, I think there's an element of dealing with couples at the get-go. What you see when you look at these cases being pointed out, for example, in Namutumba, it is not only Namutumba. When you look at some of the cases of the rising HIV prevalence in the country, you do realize that as of last year, Southern Buganda region is one of those that actually took lead with a high number of new HIV infections.
And there I think we are talking about places like Kalangala.
Exactly, because they were actually saying landing sites are more prevalent to getting HIV. But you do realize that also in town areas, Kampala, because besides the southern Buganda, there is also Ankole and then Kampala following suit. So which shows that these are things that are happening on a daily. And we're supposed to be having open conversations between partners, because as of today, you do realize in most hospitals, they normally tell the married that regardless of whether you trust your partner or not, it is always wise for you to always go for a checkup after 3 months.
Every after 3 months.
Yes.
By the way, some married couples have normalized this.
Yes, for the both of you to actually go together.
Testing.
Keep testing.
A doctor friend of mine once told me that when you make that part of you as a couple, then actually in the long run, one person is going to be afraid to step out, or both people, because you don't want to be the one that the next time you go testing that is positive and the other person is not. But coming back to you, Chantal, some of the reasons the mothers in Namutumba raised were that health officials expose or disclose their status to people in the community sometimes, and even to their spouses. I think spouses should know. But still, speaking about confidentiality, how can the government ensure that health professionals maintain confidentiality of their patients?
We may not be sure how true it is that actually these medical practitioners expose their results, but you will agree with me that sometimes when you're trying to cover up something, you'll find all the reasons to cover it up.
So you think the mothers are like holding on to grass?
There might be those who are doing that. Now, the part of exposing the results to the spouses, it has to be your spouse has the right to know. Do you know that you can actually be taken to court?
Who tells the spouse? Is it the medical personnel? Do they have the right to tell someone's spouse that, oh, by the way, your wife tested positive?
No. They are supposed to. They're supposed to cancel the infected party. This is in this case the mother, the woman. They're supposed to cancel her into disclosing this to the spouse. But because some people cannot get themselves to, I believe there has to be a limit to. Because if you do not say it, that means this person is going to go and infect the other. That is if they're not already infected. Yeah? So that means they have to be given maybe an ultimatum or something that they should follow to make sure that they inform them. Short of that, it is their right to know. Do you know that I can take someone to court for infecting me?
Knowingly?
Yes, knowingly. I can take them to court because that is, you're literally threatening my life because that is a disease that can kill me. So in this case, these people need to know that, listen, yes, you are infected, but your spouse has to know. You can keep it from the rest of the people, but your spouse has the right to know. Now, the part of ensuring that medical practitioners do not put out this information, the honest truth is integrity now goes back down to every individual. And being trustworthy.
There is what we call the patient-doctor-patient confidentiality.
It is supposed to be there, but now let these patients or these women come out and point out who exactly. Because you cannot generalize and say every doctor in Namutumba exposes your results. So how about you single out the doctors and refuse to go to them, for example, or report them and make sure, maybe if they don't know their rights. There's a possibility that these patients or these women do not know their rights. They do not know that these doctors are not supposed to put out this information. And if they should, they can report them somewhere, and these people can even be suspended or something.
But you see, again, let's look at it from this way. To the mothers, I think it is high time, doctors or medical practitioners made it even simpler. That even if you have the disease and everything, you have to open up. Opening up is very difficult in today's society. I think that is where the issue is, because looking at it from who is not going to, give out your information, it depends on the people. There are actually people who are naturally, talkative in anything. Someone who can't even keep a secret.
Even your spouse can be the one that spreads the information.
Exactly. He would just be seated anywhere, maybe drinking with colleagues and start sharing information of patients. But if we look at how we open up, how can we create spaces for these people to open up? Because remember, if you are a mother, an expectant mother, and you're hiding this from your partner, who is supposed to be supportive during this journey of your pregnancy. Now, case in point, if you're a first-time mother, you haven't done this for a while, and you do not have, that support from your partner. Every time you're going in, you have that guilt with you. And the final day of, giving birth, anything can happen simply because you don't want your husband to know. Now, what if by any chance, God forbid, the child also gets, contracts the virus or the disease?
Okay, again, there is a problem here, by the way, that we have not really touched on. And as we close in a few seconds for each of you in your parting shots, What challenges do we have surrounding men testing HIV for HIV? Because it is also known that men, in most cases, shun away from HIV testing. Majority, okay, not majority of men, but many men, many husbands test through their wives. When she goes for antenatal and she's okay, he says, I am fine. But there is something called discordant couples, where your wife may be fine and the husband is actually infected. So in your parting shots, Chantal, what do you think is the reason why men do not want, what challenges do they face in HIV testing? Why aren't they more embracing of it?
One, the stigma that comes from when they test positive. Two, the truth is, the biggest percentage of men actually mess around and they fear what they could have got from wherever they were messing from.
That was the first answer, in fact.
That was. She started with the last answer.
She started with the last one because I was going to remind you of last year when I went for my testing. I did realize that most of the men who are there in the health center for antenatal and everything, they were more scared than the women. So my question was, why are they scared?
Because the truth is most men mess around.
I think when you said majority, it's supposed to be majority, by the way.
We don't know that for sure. Well, thank you so much, Jerome Paul and Chantal. Now, Mokisa David from Toro says, many expectant mothers fear to go for antenatal because majority have roadside pregnancies whose origin is unknown. That is why we have crude births giving rise to HIV infections. Well, we don't know that for sure, Mokisa David, but thank you so much for your opinion, and thank you so much for keeping with us. The conversation continues. We can have this online. Our Twitter, our X app handle is UBCGMU. Share your opinions. We will be able to engage you. Thank you so much. This is Good Morning Uganda, and we still continue.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you the Tuko Pamoja Atekera segment. How did they become Karamojong, Itesots, and Lango?
We are actually the brothers of Israelites.
When Lango people reached Karamoja, the Karamojong remained there. The Itesots proceeded.
Those were the youth.
The Karamojong said, no, we are going to die there.
And the elders cast them, Ites. So that is how the name Ateso comes from.
Premiering in March on Sunday 10th, 2024 at the National Theatre from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.
To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Nyadru Stephen is my name. Like my chief warden has introduced, I'm the tourism warden for Queen Elizabeth National Park, where we are now. Where we are is one of the activity areas which is called the Kasenyi Plain. Kasenyi Plain is a place where we do game drive both night and day. And also we do the lion experiential in this place. We have chosen this place for game drive. Actually, we are not the ones who chose, but it is the animals that chose. Because, you know, predators follow where other animals graze from. The animals also want to graze in open area, open savanna area, so that they can be able to spot the prey. And they can also be able to have enough palatable feeding grass for them. And this is the area where we're going to do these activities. One person asked about how cheap we have made these protected areas for our domestic tourism promotion. Uganda Wildlife Authority has made this product more and more affordable. A Ugandan, an adult Ugandan, will pay only 20,000 per day per person to enter the national park. That is category A national park, where Queen and Maxon and other parks fall in. You pay 20,000 for gate entrance fee, and if you are going for any activity like game drive, and you don't need a guide, it's free. But if you need a guide, you pay extra 20,000 shillings. Guides add your adventure. The interpretation, the interaction with the guide add value to your adventure. Then when you are doing other activities like boat ride we have made for Ugandans very, very cheap, about 30,000 shillings. Foreigners pay $30. Entrance for foreigners is $40, but Ugandans pay 20,000 shillings. If you are going for nature walk is only 10,000 shillings for Ugandans. A resident foreigner pays about $15. Foreign non-resident pays about $30. Accommodation for school-going groups, like where some people slept in student center, we have made it very, very affordable so that we impact conservation education into these young children. And they pay only 5,000 shillings. But the teachers pay 20,000, 25,000 shillings. So these are the affordable rates we have made in order to promote domestic tourism for all the East Africans.
Even for non-students, someone can even sleep.
For educational groups, yeah.
But
And then camping is only 20,000 shillings. The 20,000 for camping cuts across. Whether you're a foreigner, you're Ugandan, we pay 20,000 shillings. Without, you come with your tent. But if we have tents available, you hire the tent at 20,000 shillings, wherever you are in Uganda Wildlife Authority estate. So those are the affordable rates we have for Ugandans. So out there, please don't think these parks are very expensive. They are very cheap and affordable. Don't watch these animals when you are watching them on TV. When the whites have come here, they have done documentary. When the journalists have come here, they have done documentary. Please come and watch them live. They are affordable and very cheap. Now we are going for our game drive. From here, we are starting from here. We shall follow the main road going to Kasenyi Community Village, fishing village. And from there is when we shall begin to drive through the game drive routes and look for the animals of our interest. And the lion is the key. The chief said that Queen is the only area you will not live here without seeing lions. And today, I promise you, you are likely to see the lion. Thank you so much. Another question? 2, when you are inside the park, you should drive at a speed limit of 45 kilometers per hour. And when you are inside the park, you don't hoot. You don't hoot, because that hooting disturbs animals. And when you're inside the park, please respect these animals. When you respect them, they will also respect you. Give their distance, and they keep the quite critical distance point so that you are not attacked by these animals. Please keep the critical distance. And when you're inside the park, it's very, very good to move with a guide, please. I advise you, whenever you're coming to the park, move with guides. And when you're moving on the tracks, please don't go off the track. You go off the track, we have a fine of about $150, which you pay. So please, these are simple rules we can be able to follow. Nobody should fall a victim when you come here for your honeymoon, you young girls. Please enjoy the park and go back without any problem. Thank you. As we wait for these people, we have other premium activities that we do in Queen. Very, very premium and excellent activities. You did a boat ride yesterday, and you saw the aquatic animals and the land animals, the plant species, the bird species, the intra-African migrant birds, and the Palearctic bird species that come from Europe. Accommodation. We have all categories of accommodation in Queen. We have the high-end accommodation, that is 5-star lodges. We have the mid-range, and we have the low budget. We have over 42 lodges around Queen Elizabeth National Park in different categories. Back to Mwea, we have low-cost accommodation, where some of us slept. We have accommodation as cheap as 52,000 self-contained room. We have for 82, that is twin bed, 82,000 twin bed, and 102,000 double bed. Executive room where my director slept is 128,000 shillings. In addition to that, we have self-catering guest houses. The self-catering guest houses have sitting room, dining, fridges, kitchen, everything is equipped.
All right, welcome on board to the GMU Business Update this Tuesday morning. And well, yesterday I did have a report coming in from the Uganda Tourism Board and looking into matters, Uganda's hotel industry. This time round, I'm going to give you an updated list from UTB in regards to which hotels and how are they rated currently. So we're going to kick off with a list that was released by the Uganda Tourism Board, which was highlighting 34 hotels as of yesterday, and the accommodation facility at the top is the Kampala Serena Hotel, whose star rating is a 5-star. Sheraton Kampala Hotel 5-star, and Lake Victoria Serena Golf Resort and Spa 5 stars. Now looking at the rating for the 4 stars is Emburara Farm Lodge, Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Then there is Igongo Culture Center and Country Hotel, Golden Tulip Canaan Kampala, Mestil Hotels and Residences, that is a 4-star. Kabira Country Club, Protea Hotel Kampala Skies, Protea Marriott Kampala, and then Speak Apartments. Those are rather Protea Marriott Kampala, that is a 4-star. Speak Apartments kicks off with the 3-star hotels. Then Aquarius Chigo Resort, that is also a 3-star. Lakeview Resort Hotel, 3-star. Then there is Casa Solada Hotel, 3-star. Fairway Hotel, 3-star. Admas Grand Hotel, Best Western Premier Garden Hotel, thought Best Busega, but Best Western Premium Garden Hotel is a 3-star here. And then Wash and Wills Country Home, that is a 2-star. Mount Elgon Hotel and Spa. There is Hotel Horizon, Hotel Lavena, K Hotels, Athena Hotel, all those are 2 stars. Ajip Motel Mbarara, 2 stars. Afako Hotel Resort, 2-star. Mountains of the Moon, 2-star. People in Jinja are not happy, according to what I've been able to follow up on social media. They're not happy that the Uganda Tourism Board did not highlight any hotel from that region, and especially the real estate developers from there, or the real estate managers are not happy because they've seen some apartments on here. For example, Speak Apartment being part of the list among this, the highly rated hotels and residences in Kampala. But surprisingly, in Jinja, not so many are highlighted here. But well, besides that, let's talk matters business though, as we head to the Kabula Soke substation, which was closed. The alleged continuous abscondment by the Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited to pay areas of close to 40 billion Ugandan shillings, which it owes to Damalila Abdul, the landowner on which Kabula Soke power substation sits on, has prompted him to close the Kabula Soke power substation. Let me get the name right. Kabula Soke Power Substation. This one is located in Namlamba Katente, Gomba district. Now, Dam leader says he was moved from office to office, including writing to State House officials, but not to avail. And details revealing the same issue in 1962, UETCL got a land lease through the grandparents of businessman Dam leader Abdul, which expired in 2011. Now, that is close to 12 years apart. And after the expiry of the 49 years lease on his land in 2011, they deliberately refused to vacate his land and allegedly sought the matter further by illegally entering a power purchase agreement with Sabo, a solar power plant worth $64 million US. And when you look at this in 2019, the High Court ruled at Tweed Plaza, ruled that UETCL pays him the demanded areas close to 37 billion. That is Damolila. But this order has not been honored. Power supplied from this Kabula Soke substation goes to Western Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. Now, away from that, let's talk matters finances, as bank managers in Rukunjiri district report collusion between borrowers and LC1 chairpersons. Multiple loan agreements on the same collateral are submitted to banks, resulting in loan choking. As matters to deal with financial institutions being in crisis in areas of Rukunjiri show that savings and credit cooperative organizations are particularly affected, lacking financial card tracking systems, which is something to ponder on, or something that financial institutions are supposed to be focusing on in Rukunjiri. Now, Naebare Olive, the general manager of Buyanja Sacco, emphasizes the role of LC1 officials in facilitating multiple loans. The Buyanja Sacco has written off 833 million due to non-payment. Buyanja Sacco implements controls, reducing loan defaults but hindering growth. Well, when you look at one of the reasons as to why many people join SACCOs, by the way, is to empower livelihoods and also try to get access to loans at a cheaper, because financial institutions, especially commercial institutions like private banks, it becomes very difficult. Even when you look at the government-aided banks like the UDB, you do realize that most of the interest rates are quite high. Now, some of the challenges the SACCOs are facing, again, is the fact that they have defaulters in regards to payment. Many do not pay back on time, or others fail completely to pay back, limiting the SACCOs from achieving their goals and also empowering other people who save with these SACCOs or who belong to these particular SACCOs. Now, away from that, we now turn our focus to Centenary Microfinancing, as the European Investment Bank, the EIB, and Centenary Bank Limited have entered an agreement to make 100 million euros available to private sector enterprises. The offer will focus on female borrowers and micro enterprises in rural areas. And according to this, the final beneficiaries of this pouring facility are micro entrepreneurs or micro enterprises with fewer than 10 full-time employees. So in simple terms, they're looking at small-sized enterprises. A few of the medium-sized as well may tap into this, especially for those who are having employees that do not exceed 10. Now, the investment will support lending to financially undeserved entrepreneurs in rural areas. 60% of the funding will be for projects in rural areas outside the capital city of Kampala, with at least 50% of women run or women-owned businesses. Well, again, we're looking at the month of women, and supporting women businesses is paramount, really, and should be a priority for quite many of those in the private sector. Now, as per a previous United Nations Capital Development Fund Uganda Business Survey from 2020, micro farms and female-led farms face the largest constraints, with 80% of farms reporting difficulties in access to capital. Lest we forget, by the way, women-led businesses are among the businesses that remit taxes in the Ugandan perspective. If you're to look at tax defaulters or tax defiance, you do realize that most of the women-led businesses are tax compliant, are more tax compliant than the men-led businesses. Now, also financial services uptake indicates that only 11% of farms have a bank loan or line of credit, women-led businesses as well. Now, this is a proportion that is less than half of the average countries in sub-Saharan Africa, of which Uganda also follows under. Now, Centenary Bank has been a long-standing partner with the European Investment Bank since 2008, benefiting from investments of over 61 million euros to date. And well, as I'm summing up with business this morning, today is International Working Mums Day. We have mothers who are working. Mothers who work from home. We have mothers who wake up in the morning to go into, corporate spaces to work. We have single mothers. It's never easy to be a single parent, by the way. When you're working, you have to take care of your children, you have to take care of everything at home. So you are literally the breadwinner. And as we're celebrating them today, if you know of a mother who is working, whether it's a new mother, or a mother of 5, a mother of whatever they may be, but as long as they're actively parenting. Then we also have mothers in the space of guardianship, where they're not mothers because due to to health complications they could not be able to carry their own babies, but they have been able to take care of different children as guardians. So we all put you in that category of working mothers. So we are celebrating you, by the way, today, and continue making strides in business and making changes in the world that we are living in today. Now, lastly, from the business world, we look at the forex market, close of business Monday evening, to see how the different currencies were faring. This is courtesy of the Bank of Uganda. By opening time, the US dollar was buying at 3,899.92, while selling at 3,909.92. The chances are it's still high. And then by midday, the US dollar was buying at 3,899.83, while selling at 3,909.83. Closing time saw the US dollar buy at 3,899.58, while selling at 3,909.58. The Great Britain pound is now up to 5,000 Ugandan shillings, and that is a shocker because as of yesterday it was at 4,000. Now, buying a Great Britain pound goes for 5,011.35 shillings, while selling is at 5,024.20. Now, the euro is also high. Buying is 4,266.92, while selling at 4,277.86. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 27.75, while selling at 27.82. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.52 shillings, while selling at 1.53 shillings. The South African rand is also on a rise now. It is buying at 207.82, while selling at 208.35. So you get to realize that as the US dollar is shooting up, so is the pound, so is the South African rand. And that is how the forex market is standing as of today. It is International Working Mums Day. Just reminding you as well. Jerome Paul Sonko, I'll be back tomorrow giving you more details from the world of business. But as of now, Chantal Oliver Kandina is right here to give you more of what is happening in regards to the traffic flow in town. Yesterday, it was really tight. How is it this morning, though? Chantal is right here. Good morning.
Thank you for sticking around. This is Good Morning Uganda, and it's time for our traffic updates. Let's see if you are coming from Gava side, how you can maneuver and make your way to town this very morning. Now, I am at the junction that has what you call Wavamuna Road, or the road that takes you to Munyonyo side. And if you're coming from Munyonyo side, you seem safe, though I may not know what happens in the middle there. But let's see. If you are continuing on Gaba Road, you are okay to move, except for those who are coming from town. As you can see, there is a bit of traffic in the middle, but really smooth traffic that you don't have to worry about. But all the way, you are okay to move until you reach the junction that has Prince Badru Kakungulu Road. That is why you'll be finding a bit of traffic that moves quite smoothly. So there is literally nothing to worry about. Now, Gaba Road still, if you're trying to connect to Bunga side, those who are coming from Bunga, you are coming into a junction, so definitely there's a bit of traffic because you're connecting with people who are either coming from town or going to town. But also if you're going to Bunga or inside Bunga, you realize there is a bit of a holdup in the middle there because there is also a junction shortly as you're connecting to the Gaba bypass road. But continuing on our way to town, as you can see, you are okay to move, except for those who are coming to town. Who are coming from town, but still traffic seems to be smooth along Gaba Road. If you're coming from Naduli side, you realize that there's a bit of a hold-up. That is because of the junction that connects you into the main road. Short of that, you are okay to move, depending on wherever you are going. The next part where you will be finding too much traffic, as you can see, the red lines indicate a bit of a hold-up. Not a bit, but much of a hold-up. And that is if you're coming from Buziga Road. Usually that place is mad with a lot of traffic. And as you can see, this is a lot of traffic all the way as you go, as you continue on Gaba Road. You realize that there is traffic, but it moves smoothly for you who is going to town. But for you who is coming from town, you're okay to move. And now another major holdup is still here on Gaba Road, is on the route that has Chibale Road. That's where you'll be finding a lot of traffic. Soya Stage also has a lot of traffic, as you can see, especially on the side of you who is trying to make your way to town. Even you who is coming from town, shortly before Chibale Road, the one that has a junction, that has a route that takes you inside Chibale Road, there is traffic, and that's definitely because of that road. And short of that, you're okay to move if you're coming from town. If you're proceeding to town after Soya Stage and Soya Trading Center, you're actually okay to move, and the rest of the traffic you'll be finding moves quite smoothly, and there's a bit of a stretch of that as you're trying to make your way to town. Anyone coming from Konga Road, you're okay to move all the way and until you reach the junction that has Soweto Road, or the route that has Soweto Road that takes you down to Soweto Road. Now that's the part also that usually has a lot of traffic on that very road. But short of that, you are okay to move. Traffic moves quite smoothly. And usually also the junction that has the route that takes you further into Chiwafu Road usually has traffic. But today, there is smooth flow of traffic. If you're entering Chiwafu Road, you're okay to move. And of course, you know, this road is quite small. There is a bit of a bend inside there. That's why you'll be finding some bit of traffic, but nothing to worry about. But if you're making your way to town further, you are okay to move. Wherever you see the orange line or the yellow line, you're in good place to move. It's really smooth. It's moving. Short of that, on Gaba Road, as you can see, you are okay to move. Diplomat Road is the one that has a bit of traffic, but moving quite smoothly as well, as you can see. All the way as we are trying to make our way to the junction that takes us to either Kabalagala or Muyenga Road, or takes us further to Nsambia side. But when you reach this junction and you try to use Senyonga Road has a bit of traffic but moves quite smoothly, as you can see. If you're trying to make your way to Muyenga Road, you are okay to move. And if you are staying around Kabalagala, as you can see, the junction is mad with some bit of traffic, but nothing to worry about. Nsambia Estate Road, the traffic, which is also smooth, it moves shortly into Nsambia Road. That's why you'll find the road clear for you to be able to move until you are approaching the junction that has Gogonya Road, still on Nsambia Estate Road. But if you are proceeding onto Gaba Road, the traffic is a bit much as you are exiting, but it gets a lot better as you are proceeding on your way to town. That is on Gaba Road still. Now, if we go back and try to see what happens on Muyenga Road, as you can see, everything seems to be smooth. If you're branching off into Mbogo Road or from Mbogo Road, you are headed for a clear way until you also, and if you proceed as well, Muyenga Road, Zimwe Road, Tanki Road, and you who is sloping down to Barnabas Road, you are okay to move. You are safe to move. Traffic seems to be quite smooth on there onto Tanki Road. As you can see, the holdups are nothing to worry about while you are trying to make your way to town. So if you are maneuvering through these roads, you are fine to move. And now getting back to Nsambia Estate Road, as you can see, traffic gets a bit tight in the middle there as you are still on Nsambia Estate Road. But after the hold up on this road, you realize that it gets a lot easier as you're trying to make your way to town. Nsambia Estate Road, Hanlon Road, all these seem to be okay as you move further onto Nsambia Estate Road. And if you're someone that uses those routes, you are okay to move. All the ways when you look at the route that connects you back to Gaba Road, you realize that you are okay to move as you are trying to make your way to town. So generally, traffic seems to be manageable if you are using Gaba Road to try and make your way to town. Nsambia Road has a bit of hold-ups, like I already told you, but nothing to worry about. Muyenga Tank Hill side, you're okay to move. Zimwe Road, you are okay to move. From Gaba Road, even Bunga side, the hold-ups are nothing to worry about. Just a few minutes in there and you are good to go. Well, that is it for our traffic updates this morning. Thank you for sticking around. Coming up is Good Morning Uganda agenda.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you the Tuko Pamoja Atekera segment. How did they become Karamojong, Itesots, and Lango?
We are actually the brothers of Israelites.
When Lango people reached Karamoja, the Karamojong remained there. The Itesots proceeded.
Those were the youth.
The Karamojong said, no, we are going to die there.
And the elders cast them, Ites. So that is how the name Ateso comes from.
Premiering in March on Sunday 10th, 2024 at the National Theatre from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.
To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Hello, good morning, and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. I'm Robert Chirabo. That is in case you've just joined. But you're always here from 6:30. Then an extension of Good Morning Uganda, which is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Hope you find brothers, the Muslims. Holy month is on too. Just wishing you the best as you draw closer. And of course, we hope that the rest of us are supportive. Sometimes, if you're selling something, don't hike prices, saying you see passion fruits are needed, bananas are needed at this particular time to break and start fasting and all that. Let's also know that this is aimed at spiritual nourishment, not anything commercial is attached to this. Well, this morning, I'm eager and interested, and I hope you are, with the guest I have in studios as we discuss an issue of national importance. Now, what are we going to be discussing? That is the relocation of Luzira Maxima or Luzira prisons. Now, this prison, they started building it in 1921, and it is the oldest and largest prison we have along the lake shores in Uganda. Now, recently, there was a proposal to relocate Luzira prison and have a 5-star hotel and a conference center built in this place and relocate it to some place. There are reports that say in Wuyikwe, where about 4 square miles were identified, and it is said that about 1 square mile is to be purchased to ensure that we have a bigger facility there. Now, I have a spokesperson, the mouthpiece of Uganda prisons with me this morning, and that is Frank Baine, a very interesting character, I must warn you in advance. He's very interesting and also full of humor. But let's welcome him to the show together. A lovely morning to you, Frank.
Good morning, Robert, and good morning, viewers of UBC. I'm glad this morning to be here to have some discussion about what's going on. Well, about the relocation of Ruzira. And I don't know how much you want me to talk about, because my bosses, the minister, even the other day, the Commissioner General, pronounced themselves on the matter. So I don't know what you want me to discuss.
You don't worry. It is me to ask. It is you to answer. And you see, in this show, I never take no comment for an answer. It's either a yes or no, and I don't have...
You have turned it into court.
The good thing is you are stewards of those going to court. Now welcome to Magistrate Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono. Now, to begin with, when this news first hit the media, there was a lot of speculation. People thought it was maybe just media reports or something like that. But now it is official that yes, there are plans to relocate to Ruzira. For our viewer, they have their concerns. One was telling me, because I was trying to get some information for that show, that, well, distance for us. Then others were saying, time to get prisoners to court. They must get there at 9. They must, court starts at 9. So what time do they get there? If they are evening session, how long are they going to take in transit to go back to the prisons? But first, from you, what are the reasons for the relocation or justification for relocating Ruzira prison?
Well, thank you for the question. But there are about 3 other leading questions. One, who owns Uganda Prison Service?
Ugandans.
Uganda government. Who owns the prison's land?
Is it Uganda Land Commission?
Uganda government.
Stewards.
The trust, the Uganda Land Commission owns that land in trust for Uganda government. Now, as a student of public policy, public policy is what government chooses to do and not to do, and the difference it makes. So if government, which at a certain time thought that Ruzira was an ideal place for a prison, has an afterthought of like, now I think the changed times dictate that so many things change. For example, up here, where there is Aya Hotel, used to be the headquarters for UTV and the Ministry of Information. There has since been change of land use. Now, in one of the forums I was talking, I said, you see, moving a prison is is not something new. People are talking about this as if it is new. I was giving an example that during the colonial days around 1903, a prison was established at Port Alice, near Chitara prison. By then, Chituburu had not been broken, so Entebbe was an island. So this other side was a port. Now, when the administration changed from Entebbe, because that's where there was court, to Kampala, that same prison was transferred to Nabugabo.
Nabugabo?
Yes, Nabugabo opposite Chiseka Market. Actually, it remained our premise until the other day when we exchanged it with Nakasongola. This Nakasongola prison, where we are in, actually, an investor picked interest in our land at Nabugabo. They just separate that road separating Chiseka Market and Nabugabo. He went to Nakasongola, bought 100 acres of land, built a prison. He gave us the keys, and we gave him the land. And that was value for money. Now, when the security concerns were increasing and downtown was getting congested, the prison was lifted and put to that. If you remember, if you were old enough, there used to be what they call police quartermaster. It was a very tall wall around where Aya Hotel is. But in the actual sense, that was the first maximum security prison before it moved where? To Mpanga Hill, which is known as Ruzira. So now that it moved to 1927. So if now government thinks there is a bed, and at the time, Ruzira was 7 miles away from the town. The security of Ruzira was maximum. There were no neighbors. It was the prison staff and reinforced with the army, and that's how it has been. Now, but when you go to Ruzira now, the factories have come up, the Ruzira town has come up. You don't know the population that actually, which is on the other side, on the bound, on where the railway line land is. We call it Kilimantogo. It's another city. So now, is it still addressing the national security concern? And one of the reasons why we actually had to go to Chitaria to put there another maximum security prison is because we are trying to look at the future of Ruzira being questionable. Even leave alone anything else, but a building put up in 1927, how long can it stay? Now, the question is, government in its own, does it have the capacity to pick? Because there are about 10 institutions in Ruzira, including 4 penal institutions, including a training school, including, you know, they are different. There is even a primary school. So, a hospital. Then the question is, if you need about maybe 10 trillion or so, does government now and our economy have the capacity to do that in the short run?
So even before you go to government capacity, so from you and your explanation, there is urgent need, given the developments that have taken over. You talked about how it was isolated, and therefore it represented a maximum prison. Yeah. You talk about...
Because if there was an invasion of Ruzira now, do you know how many lives would be lost? It's increasingly becoming difficult to defend Ruzira.
For security purposes.
For security purposes. A few meters there is a school, then there are these factories. So if you think you are engaged, remember a maximum security keeps all the highest feared prisoners.
The Jamiru Mukuru is there.
The Jamiru Mukurus are there, and these other ADF, and any other person that would be deemed to be having a security threat to this country. The most ideal place has been Ruzira. And therefore, if there was an organization or a mobilization to rescue this person, how many people would be victims simply because of their proximity to this facility? That's one. Two, if we are looking at the world transformation through urbanization, some of these, for those of you who have been to Ruzira, Ruzira is one of the most strategic spots which you can even convert into a very big port. So that all these other big ships that come, of course the Kapot Bell is small because it does not have, if it had an extension like the whole of that bay, if the whole of that bay would be converted into a port, an inland port, I think would benefit much more. But right now, as long as the prison is there, you cannot, because those are two things which don't rhyme. So the most important thing is that what is government's plan? Or when you look at in terms of the economy, when you look in terms of security, when you look at in terms of social order, you know, sometimes Ugandans are very okay because we don't have gangs. But supposing you wake up one day and there is a riot, like I normally see in these other countries, you know, you can wake up and find that the whole Ruzira is on fire because of riots. Now, by the end of the day, putting it down without having a lot of damage on the outskirts of Ruzira is increasingly becoming so hard. So, if government comes up with a plan to design a new land use, the most important thing is, yes, you have to relocate. And the procedure is, actually, the concept is, for us, it's not about money. Like I told you how it happened in Nakasongola. Somebody said, I'm interested in this plot of Nabugabo to develop it. I said, okay, if you're interested, For us, we want a prison of 1,000 capacity out of this, because we could no longer keep their prisoners. It was at the heart of the city. You could not even put their gunmen. Actually, we had now resorted to make it as an archive. So that's how we said no, but we still need prisons. So that's how somebody went to Nakasongola, bought land. We, of course, checked and confirmed that that land is good enough for us. And even right now, as I'm talking, Nakasongola has, I think, about 1,700 prisoners. So, which came as a solution. And now, when you go to that same place, I am telling you, it's much booming. It's earning for this country. Yet, if we had kept there, would have a shortage of the accommodation for prisoners and staff, yet at the same time would not be generating any income for government from that, because as I told you, we had turned it into an archive. Archive does not generate money.
Now, Frank, the worries of Ugandans, first, yes, the law allows prisons to transfer a prisoner to any of the prisons in the country. But time it takes for prisons to deliver suspects to court, and still safety of prisoners, because we may say let's isolate prisons, but distance, time,
Mr.
still the fears of
I
these
think
prisoners
sometimes people talk without knowing the government. The courts, who owns the courts?
Government and Ugandans.
So what is so hard if they are able to move a population of over 10,000 of prisons? What's so difficult that they cannot put strategic courts in the area?
So this would mean having maybe high court
and then you leave some of these areas for, first of all, Court of Appeal, they are renting. I think even Supreme Court, they are renting. So what's so hard in converting these ones which are here in the city center for other activities, and they put their court in the proximity where the prison is? So it all, like I told you, public policy is what government chooses to do and not to do, and the difference it makes. I remember when they were beginning works at the Clock Tower, everybody was like, the history is gone, now this government. But when you go there now, you can't believe Clock Tower is one place which is now, you cannot have the jam.
And the Queen's Clock is back.
And the Queen's Clock is back, but not necessarily in the same position. So sometimes, as speculators, we worry. And genuinely so, because most of us live in the speculative world. So if the planning is genuine, the implementation is real, to me, I don't see any big problem about that.
Frank, I want to look at, just to take you back to the words of the Commissioner General of Uganda Prisons, Dr. Shaija, when he was appearing before the Parliamentary Committee on Human Rights, where he said that in 2008, you tried to get a contractor from Dubai to ensure that he does exactly what you're saying. A memorandum of understanding was signed between Uganda Prisons and this contractor. He disappeared. He goes further to say that relocation of Luzira may require about 100 million US dollars. And he says this may be hard to find an investor who is going to invest all this amount of money in building a prison, then later come and set up a business. So this is where Ugandans get worried. Won't we lose yet a facility like this, and believing?
The bit about prison, you first go, identify the place, build, then you move people from one facility to another. You cannot say, leave. When you are somewhere, then I will construct for you. Then as soon as somebody
squeeze them in Chitalia, in whatever.
No, they cannot. I am telling you, there is a population of over 10,000 inmates here. Yes. First of all, Ruzira here right now holds the biggest population of inmates in the country. There is no way you can submerge them in any other part of the country. maybe if we had fulfilled this proposal of having at least 5 regional minimax prisons of 3,000, then you'd say, I think they can be fused there, then they vacate. But it took us how many years to put the second maximum security prison? The other one is of 1927, this one was of 2000. You see the difference. That tells you that a maximum security prison is not something you wake up and you think you are going to build in less than 4 or 5 years. It takes time. You have to prepare for it. You have to be very careful, because any mistake you make on it will cost by you losing the very key prisoners, which you don't want. So that's why, to me, I'm not very worried about that situation. That for us, the most important thing is to support the government. Now, since government has put a program that an investor comes, after coming, then we participate in identifying the location of the land, because I saw within 50 kilometers range. Then construction is done. After the construction is done, then people from Ruzira are migrated to that facility. Well, there was 1 square mile to me is a bit small.
Because according to some reports I have, you stand to confirm them. It is the 3.5 square miles in Wuyukwe was identified, out of which it was agreed that you're going to purchase 1 square mile.
Well, it's not us purchasing. I want you to understand that
the investor would purchase.
The investor is purchasing in partnership with the government, not prisons. Prisons, we are government workers. For us, you see, if you have, let's say, a shamba boy, and he has been cleaning your compound, but for your own reasons, you think where you are not comfortable, you have bought a house a kilometer away. You don't expect your shamba boy to tell you that, but I'm used to cleaning this compound. Now there, you will not go there. Then it means he doesn't know what brought him. So the government, in partnership with the investor, will buy. Or our position is to confirm that, yeah, this is strategic enough, this is reasonable enough, we can afford to be here. Because if we are the consumers, or we are the consumer of the service, then and we are not involved, it means what will be got may not necessarily favor us. And the government must be also carefully looking at. They are the ones who allocate us money. How much will be calculated? How much will it increase in terms of the cost of transport to court, the convenience? So all of those, government must do what? Calculate them. And by the time they make the move, then they have actually understood the dynamics. Because it's not something you wake up in the morning and do. It's all planned for, concept papers, feasibility study, all these things. Now, about your situation of saying that, okay, at first we thought this Arab would come and take over Ruzira and build a satellite city. Actually, his was a satellite city. And because his was a satellite city, and eventually he chickened out, yes, these things happen everywhere. There are very many people who think are investors. You might find that his interest at the time, for example, I am not saying it is true, but you must find that, for example, at the time he was a stakeholder in having shares in oil in Hoima, and his stake didn't go through. So he could not be any longer interested in having this. Because with him, he thought maybe that was the stepping stone. I am speculating.
Yes.
So for investors to come and withdraw, it happens. Even you, Robert, There are a number of businesses you have attempted, and everybody thinks you are serious. And from nowhere you close business because you have done your calculations. So now, and since now we think, now they are suggesting that the other one was an Arab, and this one coming is a Chinese. You know how the Chinese
Tanga group.
You know how they do their things. So to me, other than getting worried, other than being pessimistic, I think we need to go into the nitty-gritty. If the process can be genuine, I can assure you we also stand to do what?
To benefit.
Because a number of times, man is conservative. We don't want to go from where we are going. I remember even when this thing of oil started. Yes, we have not started having oil. But when you go to the oil region, and you look at the radio networks, you look at the developments, you really see that some of these things are very important. But somebody was arguing that, this was a national park. Why are you changing the land use? But government cannot decide upon matters that concern the public. Even those ones who have concerns, I am very sure government has competent officials to answer, to allay the fears of those who think the glass is always half empty and not half full. To us, of course, it's a chance to get modern facilities. Two, it helps our security that where we go, as long as we are not surrounded like Ruzira, then that one improves our setup. And if we get more space, then it means there are many other activities we could do. Because like we are in Ruzira Stack, we don't have workshops for production. The other day, we are supposed to access money through the National Credit Line for making workshops for modern furniture. But where do you put it in Ruzira? A prison which was for 600 already has 3,000. What used to be a workshop allocated for some of those machines now is an accommodation facility. So then this is the time to plan. And remember, the planning of 1927 did not have rehabilitation as an emphasis.
Yes, it was more of
That's why when you go to Ruzira and you go to Chitaria, there are different prisons. Because Chitaria is a modern facility, planned for the modern technology. I don't know why people are happy that they have moved from analog, they are now digital, there is now artificial intelligence, but they think the prisons should be as it was and is and ever it shall be. I don't think that is
Now,
fair.
let's remove the ice cream from the cake and go deeper into it. Frank, we are talking of about 420 acres, if I am right.
Yeah.
And we are talking about identified at 3.5 square miles. Agreed to be purchased is 1 square mile. Now, these are the worries of Ugandans. As we speak, I frequent Ruzira not as a prisoner, going to the University of Understanding, but as there's so much time I had when I was an evangelist, and I used to go with the church by then. But I highly doubt that this land has not been encroached upon.
Well,
if Nambole here was encroached, when you go to Ruzira, you'll find that there are so many developments that I believe
but for example,
just a part of the land that maybe the investor thinks they have. Do we still have that land in Ruzira?
No, actually, while the first investor was interested in a city, that's why, because it was 420, this one who is looking for a hotel and a conference, I think, because we have close to 150 acres of land.
But you should be having 420.
Yes, a land commission, everybody thought of an alternative use of that land. That's why we have quality chemical industry that is the best in East and Central Africa. We have another assortment of industries.
All this, yes. All this
yes.
land we are
now,
talking about.
But when you look at the economy, the gains from the prison population, and these other set-up enterprises, tells you that the alternative land use that the Land Commission introduced has been beneficial.
Tell me and our viewers, convince us, because soon we are going to be having messages from the pollers.
That's why I'm telling you that Uganda Quartet Chemicals is the best in Eastern and Southern Africa. I have seen presidents come and even make orders.
That is no doubt about that.
But that was prisoners' land.
But you can't also maybe quantify in monetary fund how much the inmates there are saving this country.
No, but we used to grow their cassava and maize. We used to grow their cassava and maize. So when you look at the return on investment, ideally is okay. That's why I'm saying that the most important thing about a prison is that a prison is to make the custody of the inmates, rehabilitation of the prisoners. By the way, the benefit of prisoners to the society is more indirect. Actually, it is society spending more on them than them spending on society.
Though we wouldn't know what cost it would impact on the economy if they were not in safe custody. Now, I want to quote again these words.
Going to Equator does not stop them from being in safe custody. They are not saying they should close Luzira. No, they are saying we could use this land much better.
Now, I want to go
much better. That's why they told you, if they tell you an international conference. The other day, people worked for 24 hours to Fiji to host NAM because we did not have a facility in this country that can have 5,000 people.
Briefly,
but
before
when you go to these other countries, you will find that people have conference centers which can take up to 100,000 people. It's high time we went there. And therefore, in order to minimize in compensations and the like, that's why government is looking at its own facilities. It's easier to move prison than saying that now let me go to Chivuri, compensate the Kabaka and then the tenants. By the time you compensate those people, the cost will be like 20-fold what it should be. Yet the Ugandans need the services yesterday, not even today.
No one is, we are agreeing with what you're saying and many Ugandans, but there are worries, and that's why I want to quote again these words. Says, you need about $100 million to relocate Ruzira. I don't know which investor is going to sink that money and then come back to invest in that place. That is your boss. Now, we thought we have 420 acres of land in Ruzira. You said now you have 100 what?
About 150.
About 150. The rest has been, of course, the Uganda Land Commission gave to various people. Now, how realistic is this? That this is the piece of land
but as the investors,
the amount of
if
money
the investor is not complaining about what is available.
So Ugandans, will we see this? That is the worry.
Yeah. You'll see it. Sometimes at one time people...
Mathematically, if it's not economically valuable, who is going to do
At
this?
one time people could not believe that we could have a road passing through the swamp. You go through Express and go to Entebbe, almost 5 kilometers of swamp, and the road is passing there. These flyovers, we used to see them on TV, but they have come. So the most important thing is that what does the investor want? If the investor is the one willing, and with him he thinks he's ready, yes, the worries of my boss are right. And they are not many people would want to invest such a huge amount. But you know, we have known China government with them, how much have they been investing in countries? This standard gauge railway.
This is not a government. This is Tanga. This is Tiana Tanga.
For your own information, or Chinese company, government has shares. You cannot have a company in China that is exclusively private. That one doesn't happen. Anything you call, at least I've been to China about 6 times. Anything you call a company, government must have shares. That's how they do control. So if they look at the long-term benefit, for example, there is what they call one belt and one road, which they are trying to connect from Shanghai, Beijing, and the like, coming through up to Trans-Africa, and Uganda is on the line. If the China government thinks this is where they will be, it will be beneficial in the next 10, 20 years, you can be 100% sure that this is a very small thing. Actually, with them, when they come with their system, because they use blocks, they can even put up that facility in less than 6 months. First of all, when they are building staff houses, they will make like 10-storied. You will find that while you see all those houses scattered, somebody just needs 3 blocks of 500 people, and he is done.
Well, I must look at some of the messages coming in. Please do not call on this line. Just send me a WhatsApp on the number on your screen or a text message, and let's keep the messages. Okay. Now, Frank, these are messages coming in. One here is saying, let Frank speak the truth. Let Frank speak the truth. No investor would put that amount of money and recoup it. These people just want to steal that land. But please give me your name.
But who wants to steal the land?
I don't know who wants to steal the land, but they are doubting that no investor is going to put this amount of money.
Yeah, but it is the investor who has expressed interest. And he has used, he started with the president has consulted the minister has consulted the attorney general, they have brought the commissioner general on board. Now, this is government land. I don't think we are going to have, nobody is telling you that this land is going to be divided among prisons officers, then they will be part of this development. No. Prisons, the person will go and develop the area of choice. After developing, they move. Like I told you, we had buildings, we had staff in Nabugabo. Because we failed to develop, but there was an investor who was ready to buy 100 acres of land and put staff houses and a prison. Turnkey. And he went, he did that under our supervision. When he was done, we got our key, we gave him his plot. And he went ahead and developed. You go there and see. So it all depends. You can talk from your pocket that nobody can. Very many people have had. Yeah?
Just next to us is Kingdom Hotel. That was Shimoni, I remember very well. Much as it had some delays. One is saying, why now this when we have Ruvowa? Okay.
Yeah, but you see,
I think the terms are different.
The terms and conditions are different. I mean different. Ruvowa was an empty space. They are trying to build a hospital, and according to the other person, I think he's supposed to build, own, then after about 9 years,
recoup.
Then he hands over. But this one is, he's identifying land, building there, then shifting prison. Then he puts to use the land the way he wants.
Well, Cricket one, also someone is asking, please let's keep these messages short and relatively kind. Yes. One is saying the land was already taken. He says, where is the 4 acre? I think that's something you said or explained about. But he's wondering what is left for the investor.
No, you see, different investors are interested in different sizes of land.
Yes.
There could be an investor who is interested in 500 acres, depending on what he wants to do. Like the other investor wanted more land because he wanted to put up a satellite city. But this one has been specific. He wants to build a hotel and a conference center. So, how much land does he require compared to the previous one? I think we should not speak for the investor Because the investor knows what he wants. And he has not complained. If he's ready to take it as it is, you see, you have your court. If you say, I have my old court, I'm selling it, it's up to me to say, yes, I will take it as it is. But I'm not going to say, but how comes it is not new, like other courts?
Recently, they were auctioning Nelson Mandela's Africa where it was very expensive. Now, Kadu says if only Ugandans want first-class development, they should carefully listen to Afande Baine. Let's have faith in our government for once. Then he adds Vanange. Okay, says let's have faith in our government for once.
Somebody must plan ahead. That's why I'm telling you that when Ruzira was established, 1927, it was a star in Africa. But now when you go back to Africa and look, compare then and now, it's very different. That's why I'm telling you that if you go to Chitadia and go to upper prison for these things, and you even wonder why they call Ruzira upper prison a maximum security prison. Because its setup is very, very, very archaic. Yeah.
Now, one says, government, you would be shocked if you visited Ibuga prisons in Kasese and see the quarter guard that was commissioned by the prison. Said, you will realize those guys have no respect for value, for money, and Uganda at large.
I have never had the issue of commissioning the quarter guard. Why should you?
I think it talks of the prisons, but the quarter guard was commissioned.
No. Because Ibuga, the wards, we made an extension of the wards under what we call low-cost housing by our own teams. So sometimes these people speculate. Ibuga is a prison farm. The way you construct a prison farm is not the way you construct a district prison. Because they are serving different what? Purposes. If he's talking about the quarter guard, did he also look at how much maize we get from the same prison? Did he look at the production? You see, like I'm telling you that there are people who are always looking at half the glass. That's why, because he does not have facts, he says the prisons commissioned the quarter guard. There is no quarter guard in this country that has been commissioned. Because the quarter guard is not even built.
I remember the prison, Frank, where how I called you, where I met just a stick, and then I was told, you told me to respect and ensure I first be allowed to enter.
Yeah, because
where
you
I could
see,
even slope under.
A quarter guard is a place whereby we
It's like
assemble. Actually, that is a provost. That's not a quarter guard. But Ibuga doesn't even have a provost.
Looks very weird. But
it doesn't have a provost because it doesn't need it. It is a farm.
Well, time is running so fast, and great submission from Senior Commissioner Frank Baine. We need development. This is very good for our economy. Kudos to our government. Odomel James. Then, if only Ugandans. Well, there are so many messages. I have to give room to Ruben to take us through.
I can give you one small example.
Please, lastly.
When they were moving these people of Nsambia furniture, actually they brought them to my place in Ichigo. First of all, the other facilities are more magnificent than here. But look at the building that has emerged in the same place. Now, but people are saying, this land has also been taken. The people, the government doesn't wish well for the people. I think time must come that we love our country. If this country must develop, we all must have an input. And if we are the very people electing our leaders, how comes we are the very people who don't want to believe in them?
Frank, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We hope and pray that we see this come to pass.
I only wish it can, but anyway, it will be too late, I will have gone. But I only wish I would see the relocation.
Okay. Have a lovely day, Frank. See you in the next hour. Ruben is here to take you through sports. Good morning. Keep it with us.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the